Hello, and welcome to today's reflection. My name is Elaine Hogan, and I'm part of the ministry team here at Seacos. That's the South East Edinburgh Church of Scotland, in which Liberton Kirk is one of the worshipping communities. Today is Pentecost Sunday, a day when we remember and celebrate the birth of the church. And perhaps it's fitting that the verse for today speaks of blessing. The verse comes from Psalm 84 and reading verse 12. Lord Almighty, blessed is the one who trusts in you. It's the final verse of a famous psalm, which the great preacher Charles Spurgeon called the Pearl of Psalms, referring to it as one of the most sweet of the Psalms of peace. The psalm begins with these beautiful words, "How lovely is the dwelling place, Lord Almighty." I'm guessing some of you, like me, will have started to sing the well-known hymn in your head. Don't worry, I'm not going to do it now. But the psalm ends with a promise. And I'm reading from the New Living Translation here because it says, "O Lord of heaven's armies, what joy for those who trust in you." What joy. See, Psalm 84 is a psalm of pilgrimage, and it would have been sung as pilgrims travelled to Jerusalem for worship. Have you ever taken part in a pilgrimage? Many people do, for lots of different reasons every year. A few years ago, I travelled to Orkney with a friend to walk the St Magnus Way. And I have to say, it was a week of challenges, both physical and mental, but through which I was able to become more aware of God through all the difficulties. There was one day in particular when I really wondered, why am I doing this? You see, it had been a day of rain, that horizontal rain that comes in off the sea, and a day of peat bogs. My body ached from the effort, and you couldn't even see the tears because of the rain. Then we took a wrong turning, and we ended up in challenging terrain, holding on for grim life to a barbed wire fence to stop us slipping down the banking into the stream. Not that it would have made too much difference if we'd ended up there, because everything was soggy. I really wanted to give up. But God gives us enough strength for the day. And I did get through it. But know that I didn't do it in my own strength. And it's at these moments that we realize that we really are blessed. Psalm 84 reminds us that the ultimate reward of faith is not a trouble-free life, but the deep joy and security that comes from trusting God. Just before this final verse, the psalm describes God as a sun and shield who withholds no good thing from his people. And it's almost echoing the opening words of Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. I lack nothing. If we believe in God, then perhaps we are called to see blessing differently from the world around us. Because nowhere in the Bible does God promise a life without trouble. In fact, Jesus warned his disciples in John 16:33, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world." So how can we still speak of blessing in the midst of difficulty? In pastoral ministry, I have seen it again and again. And often it is those facing the greatest challenges who display the deepest faith. People who cling to God and somehow still recognize his blessings through tears and through rain. Blessing is not the absence of struggle. Blessing is the presence of God within it. It's the peace he gives in the midst of battles. It's the strength to face one more day when we thought we had none left. It's knowing that we do not walk alone through suffering. If you take a moment to read through the whole of Psalm 84, you'll notice that it has little patience for the modern idea that joy is simply found by following the desires of our own hearts. That kind of happiness is temporary and fragile. True joy comes from an inner compass that says, follow God. When life is hard, God doesn't always remove the struggle, but he gives us enough strength for each moment as it comes. And even when we feel overwhelmed, we can trust that he is with us. And in that trust, that's where we discover true blessing and real joy. And perhaps on this Pentecost Sunday, we remember that we do not journey alone, because God gives us his Spirit to strengthen and to guide his people still. May God continue to bless your journey each and every day.